Morning, everyone. We're just waiting, as you know. So it's 6:10, so we'll be starting in 5 minutes. So some of you will come in now to find us, I know. Yep, good. We're live. So just leave you to find us. Okay. Morning, Beacon. David, you okay for this Zoom tonight? Have a look at WhatsApp. Thanks, David. Okay, that's good. We can talk about the Beacon and Grace and other things. I'll post a link after when we've finished all our live this morning. Fingers and thumbs this morning. la la. Morning, Pat. One of these. Ba ba ba. Da la 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 la. It's a very old rhythm of the folksy sort of style. I'm writing some music to go with that at the moment, but we're not quite there yet. Yeah. Found the poem, held on the back. There you go. Yeah. I saw the sun high in the sky, moving the bushes as the wind passed by, and I'm thinking of doing, but the air is warm. Time to rest before the storm. Well, I tried to make money, but the price was high. I wait to be chosen, but he passes me by. And now I'm hungry and the future's black. I can't go forward and I can't go back. Ba, 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 ba. And here he comes, it's the preacher man. Make your decision while you can. Welcome to the hill where the big man died. The path is easier on the other side. Good morning, Margaret. Well, I've nothing to lose and a lot to gain, so I gave my life to Jesus' name. Now I'm walking down the road with the only son. The past is gone, then there's better to come. Gambling with your life, it's the way of the fool. You're lost and done, that's heaven's rule. There's a choice to be made, and only one. Choose yourself or God some. Well, Gambling with your life is the way of the fool. You're lost and done, that's heaven's rule. There's a choice to be made, and only one. Choose yourself for God. Om Sam Baba, Bam Baba, Bam Baba, Baba Baba, that's a song for the old smoky folk, gatherings of long ago, when I used to, cool, man. We used to go to these places and I'd sing. Everybody had drunk so much that they probably didn't notice. No. But the old folksy thing. Morning, Abigail. Morning, Heather. Morning. Oh, yeah. Morning, Abigail. Morning, Heather. I started writing songs because of the copyright problems we kept running into singing all the other stuff. So, here we go. La 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 la. The sun's just rising. It's beautiful. Well, the sun has come. It's rising up, and I have come to know your love. I want to fly high. I want to fly high. I want to fly in the sky of your love. I want to fly. I want to fly in the sky of your love. Shall we fly? I want to fly. I want to fly. I want to rise into your love. Love, I want to fly. I want to fly. I want to. Higher and higher, higher and higher. Higher and higher, yes. Oh, the spirit flowing here. Morning, Paul. Morning, Betty. Wow, there's such power here. La 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 la. I want to fly. Morning, Tracy. See, the revival fire is always in this room, and I spend a lot of time here in that, and sometimes it bubbles out. I love you, Lord. I love you, Lord. I love you, Lord. You know, my children say to me, that bottom string just won't tune properly. Isn't that annoying? Probably not manufactured completely straight. My children say to me, what do you want for your birthday, Methuselah? And I say, I only want one thing for my birthday. I've been saying this year after year after year. If you tell me you love me, I've got the only present I want. And I think that's how it is with the Lord, really. I think what he wants us when we get up in the morning, tell him we love him. I think that's all he wants. I love you, Lord. I love you, Lord. And you love me. Lovely, isn't it? Hi, Anita. I love you, Lord. I love you, Lord. And I know that you love me. That's all there is to it, isn't it? That's all there is to it. Because all the works he could do himself better than me. But what he can't make me do is love him. Well, good morning, everybody. As you may have seen across our internet pages, Audrey Telford went with the Lord yesterday. A very long, faithful servant of ours. Many of you on the stream will know her. She's out here many times. And I wrote a little thing about her, but one of the things I always enjoyed about her was this. When she was 8 or 9, she lived in Chester Street in County Durham. She went to it, but she started off in a little church up on the hill away from the main town, little place. And she used to go to church there. And she used to buy what we used to call sunny smiles. Mary bought them as well, that people would buy little stickers for nothing and put them in their little book, I assume, or their Bible. And the money would go to the missionaries. It's small amounts, but it was a little thing. And Audrey bought the stickers, and she said as a young girl, one day I want to go to Africa. Mary was the same. And it was my delight to be the fulfillment of that wish, to bring her out here. And of many memories, the one that sticks most in my mind is when she was about 70 something, which of course is young for us, but not out here. We went to a market in the north, somewhere up north, to do evangelism. And we were there, and the traders were looking at Audrey and couldn't believe anybody so old could be so active. I could see they were actually astonished that this woman was talking about the Lord to them. And they got a chair out for her. And they stuck it in the market, and she sat there like the Queen Mother. And they all stood around her and she talked about Jesus. And I thought, yep, that is the fulfillment of the sunny smiles. It was lovely to see. And many other things. And she supported Mary and I. When we began our ministry, we left Sarah in England with Audrey. It was very costly for all of us. But some of Audrey's spirituality is seeped into Sarah as a result of that. And we were close in Chester Street, and we've stayed close ever since as part of our work. And she had a tough life. Alan was type 1 diabetes, not easy to live with. And then the little grandson, Jake, had some serious illness, didn't quite know what it was, but had to have oxygen lines in the house for him. And sadly, he didn't make it. And Audrey had to bear all that burden as well. So she has found a deep faith through a lot of struggle. And here's the joy. I'm not going to rabbit on too long, but here's the joy. For me, today, Audrey is more present than she was when she's on the planet, because I couldn't. Oh, back. She's praying with us. Don't know what happened there. She's praying with us and closer than ever before. This is the joy of the invisible church, that those that have gone before us stay with us in the invisible side of faith, praying with us to the Lord for the work here on earth. And all those who have gone before me, many from this mission, I pray with them daily. I pray with Audrey daily. She'll be closer than ever to us. That's the joy of faith. That's the privilege of faith. Distance is no longer an issue. And she prays with us this morning, as does Jane and Clive and Dave and all the others who have worked with us, Cecilia and many, Dawn, many. They join us in the invisible church. That is the strength of our faith. A Christian never says goodbye. And that's great, isn't it? So we're very privileged to have known her. And she did a great deal financially for us as well, which she wouldn't want you to know, but it's time we gave testimony, Mary and I. And we stayed in the house a lot. It's just one of those wonderful relationships that all makes, and it won't break. Never going to break. It's going to go on and on. Wonderful, isn't it? A woman of faith, deep intercession. You don't come across those that often. Let's put the old steam box down before I drop it. Lots of nice sounds on that guitar. I'm learning all the time. You have to, when you get a new guitar, you've got to learn it. But the bass string is obviously not absolutely straight. When I restring it, I'll tiddle around. However, makes nice sound, doesn't it? So here we are this morning, hallelujah. Nehemiah. Yesterday we learned, I found the poem as well, by the way. It fallen down the back of the table. I thought Paul Seafer had nicked it and sold it, but actually I found it. Nehemiah then. Yesterday we learned a man of spirituality and practicality. That is a very good combination. Spiritually, he put it right in the heavenlies. That was his first move. He put it right up there. And then secondly, he took practical measures in order to do what he felt God was telling him to do, although we don't actually yet know what God has told him to do. We'll find that out today. So he gets these letters from the king, letters to the nations he has to pass through, that they won't stop him because he's basically got the king's commission to go through, and letters to Asaph, the king's forester, to give him the wood to rebuild the gate. So off he goes. We're in chapter, I think it's 2 now. Yeah, something like that. So here we go. I went to Jerusalem, and after staying there 3 days, it's quite a journey from Babylon. Anyway, he gets there. I set out during the night with a few others, not completely alone. I had not told anyone what God had put in my heart to do for Jerusalem. No one told us yet either. There were no mounts for me except the one I was riding on. That gives you an idea of how desperate Jerusalem was, how low it had sunk, how broken down it was. There were no donkeys or whatever he was riding except his. None. Had to walk. So now, he's now in Jerusalem with his practical spiritual heart, and he's now going to set out to find out, well, he's going to tell us what he's going to do. By night, I went through the valley gate towards the Jackal Well and the Dung Gate, examining the walls of Jerusalem, which have been broken down, and its gates, which have been destroyed by fire. Now, we thought it was to do with the gates. That's what he told the king. And now he's having a look at the job in hand. And he does it by night because of Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite and lots of other people didn't want Jerusalem restored. All the surrounding nations, Arab nations, hated Israel, so they were happy to see Jerusalem destroyed and didn't want it improved. And there were plenty of spies around. So Nehemiah, as we know, practical man, decides to do his surveying by night. But what a difficult thing that was, to ride around broken up walls in the pitch black, because you daren't strike a light in case some of these spies figure out what you're doing. Thank you, Paul. See, so he's now taking it. It's a huge risky thing he's doing. It's dangerous, and there's plenty of enemies around. But however, we know he's a practical man. So he's going to survey the walls. Then he moved towards the fountain gate and the king's pool. There was not enough room for my mount to get through. That's how bad it was. So I went up the valley by night, examining the wall. Finally, I turned back and re-entered through the valley gate. The officials did not know where I had gone or what I was doing, because I'd said nothing to them. Now, you see, here we know a practical man, not a fool, and a man who is not afraid to take risks. This is a risky thing he's doing in the dark, but we know he's practical. He wants to see what he's up against. He's not one of those pie in the sky guys that says, oh, let's build 16 palaces here. No. He's a practical man, and so he wants to see what it is he's got to do. That seems to be very good advice. So then, well, they didn't know what he's going to. This is the thing, right? The officials did not know where I had gone or what I was doing, because I had said nothing to the Jews or the priests or the nobles or the officials or any others who will be doing the work. What work? Tell us what work. Then I said to them, you see the trouble we are in. Jerusalem, it lies in ruins. Its gates have been burned with fire. Now, come, let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, and we will no longer be in disgrace. And I told them about the gracious hand of my God on me and what the king had said to me. So now we got it. Now we know what he's going to do. He is going to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. He's not going to just put the gates back. He's going to rebuild the walls. That's what he's been called to do. He hasn't said it previously. I think he's wise. He kind of kept it to a minimum with the king. It was enough to get him to Jerusalem. He didn't tell anybody till he'd seen what he had to do. And now he says, you see the trouble we are in. So now he recognizes the size of the task he's faced with. Yes, remember, there's no masons here, or there's no skilled architects or anything. He hasn't got anything to go on. Probably got 3 spades and a shovel. Perhaps he didn't know how to build walls. I haven't got a clue. And he sees all this mess and rubble and ruin, and he could easily have said, this is hopeless. But no, he said, I told them about the gracious hand of my God on me. Now, here we have the spiritual man again, coming back. Right, see. This is how it goes. In Babylon, the spiritual first and the practical. Now at Jerusalem, the practical first and the spiritual. First, he wants to look at the task in hand. He wants to weigh it up. He wants to find out what it is he's got to do. That strikes me as that's the practical Nehemiah. That's always a good thing to do. When I have one of my 6 visions before breakfast, and Paul comes over, we talk about it, then we have to work out practically how do we do it. Now Nehemiah, that's what he's like. He's done the spiritual practical in Babylon. He switched it around now. First he goes around and has a look practically, then comes the spiritual. Let us rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, so we will no longer be a disgrace. I told them about the gracious hand of my God on me. Probably told them what he felt. In chapter 1, I'd gone to the king, how the king had given him the letters, how he was there. And he says, let us, and so here we are. Okay, chapter 2, we've moved on now, but we've repeated the same process. On this occasion, he reversed it. First the practical, then the spiritual. For him, these two are inextricably bound, and that's what meant he could keep his servant heart and not become arrogant. Look at me, the great Nehemiah. So, here we are. So now we've cleared away everything. We're ready to roll. We're not ready to roll. There's a couple of things we've got to take into account here with this man. This is the first. The people replied, let us start rebuilding. There you go. So now his spiritual, practical approach and his conviction has relayed itself to the people. That's a bigger thing than you think. The walls are a ruin. They're all poor. They don't have the skills. And what's more, they have enemies. And, they're probably giving most of their life to staying alive and feeding their children and trying to stay alive in an absolute ruin, a desolation. If you've seen the pictures of the war after when Berlin was finally fell, you see the ruin there and people just eking out an existence in the ruins. That's what it was like. They didn't have the skills. They didn't have the money. They didn't have much energy left because they were worn out by staying alive. But the Spirit of God touched them. Let us start rebuilding. And that was because of Nehemiah. The Spirit of God was flowing into them because of him. They believed in what he had said about God. And in him, they believed they had a man who could do it, who would lead them through it. They saw in him his spirituality and his practicality, and that opened their hearts to saying yes to the Lord. Now, isn't that interesting? We are often the agents of others finding their ministries. They look at us, and through us, their hearts are stirred, and the Lord opens their heart to serve. This happens over and over again in my life. I keep coming across people who say, when you came here 10 years ago, this, that, and I, this, that. It's nothing to do with pride or anything. That they saw in me the spirituality, and it was enough to open their hearts to serve God. So we all the time are sparking others off in their faith. You don't know that, you see, do you? You sit in the hospital reception ward where you think you've taken up residence. You'll have to take out a residence permit soon. You don't know who's watching you. You don't know who's looking at you and wondering, why aren't you so perturbed as they are? What is it you've got? You never know. Nehemiah's a case in point. They wouldn't have done anything. They'd done nothing. Done nothing. They weren't going to do anything. They couldn't do anything. You have sympathy with them. But in him, in his spiritual, practical nature, they saw a man who they believed God had spoken to. And they responded, let us start rebuilding. So they began the good work. Well, we'll look at that later, how they began the good work. But there's another thing here, which I think is very significant. When Sanballat the Hororite, Tobiah the Ammonite official, and Gershon the Arab heard about it, now the enemies are coming out. They mocked and ridiculed us. What are you doing? They asked. Are you rebuilding against the king? You see, so the enemies are there straight away. Enemies of God's people are always present, especially when we begin a good work. They will come to undermine, discourage us. And Nehemiah could easily, because these were the surrounding nations. They were strong, and they were happy that Jerusalem was destroyed. He could have just said, "Oh, it's hopeless." Look what he said. He says this, and the more you get to know him, the more you like him. That everyone's listening. How's he going to deal with this? This is what he says: the God of heaven will give us success. We, his servants, will start rebuilding. But as for you, you have no share in Jerusalem or any historic right to it. The God of heaven will stand with us. See, he believed he'd been called by God. And therefore, God would stand with him. Now, this isn't the Ghanaian everything will be all right attitude, which drives me up the walls, not at all. This is a man of faith saying, I have a task to do, and I'm going to do it, and my God will see me through. I'm going to have to suffer and struggle to get there, but I have this inner confidence, not arrogance. That's what Ghana has, arrogance. No, he had an inner confidence that God would surely do it. Impressive, isn't he? And what's more, he's basically told to Tobiah and the rest to buzz off, clear off. You have no part of us. So now we're getting a much better idea of him. And I think his example is a good one, that we put the spiritual and the practical together, and we bind these two together as we serve him. We have to be spiritual because all God's work is in the spiritual world. We have to be practical in the way in which we go about what we want, what we think God's asking us to do in this mission. We're good at that. We're very good. We have a great administrative team. David, Paul, Stephen, myself. They that are spiritual and practical. It's essential that we have the two locked together. That way you don't get proud. And you have to have an inner conviction that God will do it. And it's not arrogance. That's what Ghana has, arrogance. That's why God won't do it, because they're arrogant. God will do this. God will save us. No, he's not going to save you. Not on that arrogance, he isn't. But he will act on those that have a deep conviction that his ways will triumph. You come against me with sword and spear. I come against you in the name of the living God. And Nehemiah would certainly have said amen to that. So now he is about to begin the process. Last of all this morning, does it matter? Who cares? If Jerusalem isn't restored, Jesus won't come. It's the same as we found with Jacob and all the rest of them. The line has to continue, and Jesus will be born, Jesus will die in Jerusalem. That is what was prophesied. So Nehemiah is very much in the line of salvation. This man, like so often, one man stands between salvation and non-salvation. Hannah and Rahab and Joseph, and Nehemiah and Elizabeth and Mary. One person often stands between the line failing and the line succeeding. God found in Nehemiah a man, he might well have said, as he said of David, a man after his own heart. And for me, that's what I want. And what does God say in the Acts passage after that? I have found in David a man after my own heart. Why? Because he does what I ask him to do. And Nehemiah is doing exactly that, taking the risks all the way. And I think he's got a lot to teach us. He's very encouraging. He's an encouraging man. He doesn't, he doesn't threaten you, does he? You don't feel, oh, great Nehemiah. He feels a very ordinary man, doesn't he? Doing an extraordinary thing. Isn't that what the kingdom's about? So we take hold of that. We move on tomorrow to, let's see what happens and how he handles it. It gets pretty sticky. Now, yesterday I was going to read this poem, and it was something happened 2 days ago. As you know, whenever I walk across the base, I usually get bombarded with granddaddy, you know that all the time. That's lovely, don't I? But when I find them ones and twos, that the little ones walking just along outside here, either coming over to pre-primary or going over to the kinder, I don't know what they're doing. It's different. I ask them, how are you? And what's your name? And how are you? I usually have to get on my knees to reach them. How are you? What's your name? And sort of, my name is lovely. Great, good. How old are you? 4. It's lovely, isn't it? This little girl, a beautiful girl, a little dress and the top of the school colours. This beautiful African face. African children's eyes shine like diamonds out of their beautiful black skin. It's something so noticeable and so beautiful. It never ceases to delight me. And so I said, hello. You've got the same thing. Something like that. And I said, what's your name? I never heard it. And I said, you have a lovely day. And she curtsied. Just a little, she took the sides of her dress. She'd obviously seen her mummy do this, took hold of it, and she just curtsied like that. And it was so incredibly moving. And I wrote this. Her face, diamond-eyed, shines Africa. Tiny hands rise in amazement. Her white face. Hello, what's your name? Whispers, beautiful. You are, I said. You are truly beautiful. Her hands taking hold of her dress, the most gentle curtsy. The white face cries at the grace in such a child. Beautiful, isn't it? These African children teaching me lessons every single day about love and grace and hope. And I hope this morning they'll teach me some more. Beautiful, isn't it? So thank you very much. Oh dear, where's time going? Don't know. But I wanted to speak a little bit about Audrey this morning, just to remind you. Her children, John is in Canada. He's just been over, and he's gone back. So I guess I have to come back. Rachel and Deborah. Deborah's in New Zealand. Rachel is in Chester Street. Got to sort out. Audrey just moved into sheltered accommodation, and they were going to sell the house. That's all got to be untangled. It's a lot of that, isn't there? And a lot to do. So we know it. We all know it. We'll go through it. We'll just lift the family before them this morning. Thanks, everybody. Great. There we are. Enough rabbiting. I'm going to rabbit off now and do the live stream and see if I can reach the prayer floor. Although yesterday I only just reached it because I was granddaddy on the way over. Okay. So I'm going to press the live stream now. I'll just go and we'll be back tomorrow. Wasn't it great? That flickered this morning, didn't it? But we're still here. We're still getting it done. By His grace, we will get it done. Thanks, everyone. See you. Now, pop-in prayer is at 1700 today, not 1630, because Mary and I are out. We'll be back. So 1700 hours. I put it on all the WhatsApps. 1700 hours tonight. Do come and join us. We can give thanks for all, can't we? God bless. So, live stream's going now. Bye.